Women were not prominent among the artists, but a few did make their mark. Let's look briefly at one who was contemporary with Michelangelo. Her career says a lot about the internationalism of artists in this time period and how they built their careers around patronage. Sofonisba Anguissola, who lived about 1532 to 1625, was a painter whose dramatic life and career included being official court portraitist at several royal courts. She was only based in Florence for a short time, but as a painter, her style was definitely influenced by Florence's painters. She was born and grew up in the northern Italian town of Cremona, quite a ways north of Florence, west of Venice, in a region called Lombardy. Her family was noble but poor. The Anguissola family had been connected to Byzantine royalty in Constantinople generations before, but they emigrated to Italy due to the plague, so they had to build their fortune again almost from scratch. Sofonisba and her 5 sisters all received a well-rounded new education that included learning Greek and Latin as well as the fine arts, and Sofonisba's and her sisters' apprenticeships with a local painter set a precedent for women in the area. As a young woman, Sofonisba traveled to Rome, where she was introduced to Michelangelo, who immediately recognized her talent, and to Milan, where she painted the Duke of Alba. The Spanish queen, Elizabeth of Valois, was a keen amateur painter herself, and in 1559, Sofonisba was called to leave her family and go to the court in Madrid as her tutor, with the rank of lady-in-waiting. That is, she was the tutor of the Spanish queen. She never really returned to her hometown for very long after that. She did, however, build a brilliant career for herself at court. She became an official court painter to the King Philip II, and after the Queen's death, Philip helped arrange an aristocratic marriage for her when she needed to leave the court. She moved to Sicily, controlled then by Spain, and later Pisa and Genoa. Her second husband was a Genoese trader, where she continued to practice as a leading portrait painter to the nobility and to her friends and family. Sofonisba's career was remarkable for a woman, but although she faced some pushback due to her gender, her talent was allowed to flourish, and she made a stellar career for herself, living into her 90s and being praised by other artists of her time. She painted beautiful, emotional, and endearing portraits of herself and her family, her father, her mother, her 5 sisters, her 1 brother. She had a sly way of promoting the position of women in her paintings also. This picture she painted when quite young of her sisters Lucia left, Minerva right, and little Europa smiling in the middle, with the guardian behind in the background, shows the girls playing a new kind of chess, one where the queen is the most important piece on the board. Her sisters were not as famous, but 4 became painters. Lucia, who lived 1538 to about 1568, was an extremely talented painter and was thought to be a rival even to Sofonisba, but sadly she died when only 30 years old. We do have some of her paintings, however. Elena, who had gone to live as a nun in a convent early in life, specialized in creating holy pictures for the convent and selling portraits of saints and other holy subjects to local residents, which was a large source of income for the convent. 2 other sisters, Europa and Anna Maria, gave up painting when they got married. The last sister, Minerva, was not a painter, but became a writer and a Latin scholar. Sofonisba's and her sisters' great success opened the way for larger numbers of women to pursue serious careers as artists. Their careers show that women could be taken seriously during this period, but they were very much helped in this by the fact that the family had money and social standing and could support them. Their father was a huge supporter of his children. Interesting side note. Sometimes artists included their own self-portraits within a larger scene. You can tell these because often the artist paints him or herself staring directly out at the viewer, as though to say, "I'm not just part of this painting, I am talking directly to you as the artist." Sofonisba Anguissola portrayed herself this way in her self-portraits as well. In her chess game picture, which doesn't include a self-portrait, Sofonisba interestingly shows her sister Lucia, whom she recognized as being another very talented painter, as we saw, looking straight out at the viewer in this manner. Today you can see Sofonisba's paintings in many art galleries in the US, Italy, and elsewhere. Giorgio Vasari, 1511 to 1574, an architect and painter who is most famous for his carefully researched book about contemporary artists. He himself was an artist. His book was called Lives of the Most Excellent Painters, Sculptors, and Architects. Vasari included Sofonisba among the most excellent painters of his day, and praised her drawing highly as well as her painting, commenting that she has created rare and very beautiful paintings. If you're interested in reading or hearing more of her story, Donna Di Giuseppe has written a biographical novel about her life called Lady in Ermine, the story of a woman who painted the Renaissance.